right? So salary ranges anywhere from 4 LPA to let's say 20, 30 LPA. It completely depends. About 27 lakh new jobs will be created in the data industry globally. And in 2022, right, this contribution was 180 billion. You should focus on key analytical tools, Excel and Python. And ideally, if you're doing multiple projects, right, for your CV, they should span across different industries. The main aspect that comes in here is how you actually present that project in your resume.
Do you know in this recession time which job profile was the least impacted? That is data analytics. And that is the prime reason thousands of working professionals and even freshers want to move into the data analytics job profile. But the biggest question is how to crack high paying job as a data analyst. So we have a very special guest in today's podcast, and we will be discussing few really important topics like the impact of recession and layoffs on data analytics job, what are those minimum and mandatory skill set to become a data analyst, how to prepare for it, how much time it will require, the strategies, the mindset, technical skills versus soft skills, how you can prepare for it being a working professional, how to work on different projects, how to add them in the resume, and how to hunt for the job. So all these topics will be discussed and you will get answers for all your doubts. So make sure to watch this podcast till the very end and like this in the big numbers so that this information can reach to maximum aspiring data professionals. So hit the subscribe button and press the notification icon and let's get started. Thank you so much, Dhruv, for joining me today in this podcast. And I'm really excited, first of all, to have a discussion around the data analyst job, the job hunting, and many other important aspects. But it would be really great first if you can introduce yourself, the audience who is watching you for the very first time, or anything you want to talk about your professional background.
Sure, Shashank. So I'll quickly introduce myself, right? So I was born in Karnal, a small town in Haryana, right? After that, I did my schooling from various different places across India, right? As my father used to shift due to his job, right? And post my schooling, I went to IIT Delhi to pursue my BTech, right? And after that, I worked in consulting for about 2 years. There, I worked on projects like creating a data model for a global company to, let's say, help them decide how they should enter and expand in the European markets, what products should they focus on, what type of customers they should target, etc. Right. After that, I worked with 𝗵𝗁𝗶𝗃 for about a year, right, in the growth team. And since then, I've been working with AccioJob now for more than a year. Here, I'm leading the product team, and recently, I'm heading the new data analytics course that we are planning to launch. So, yeah, very brief background about me.
Dhruv, as you mentioned, right, you are now going to work on the data analytics part. And we all know that the tech industry is passing through a very tough time, right? We all know the current situation, what is happening in the market, and what has even happened in the market in last 6 to 8 months. We saw thousands of layoffs, but data analytics related jobs didn't lose their place in the market. That even I observed being into the data field and even had a podcast with like hundreds of data professionals. So what is the reason behind it and what 2023 will look like for the data related job profiles?
Shashank, though, the digital adoption is increasing rapidly globally, right? And especially after COVID, right, it has accelerated greatly, right? And naturally, with increase in digital adoption, right, the availability of data is also increasing. And with this, companies want to leverage this data to make decisions. As more and more organizations turn to data analysis, right, for their decision making, instead of, let's say, relying on intuition, right, the demand for skilled data professionals will continue to increase. And this is still the tip of the iceberg, right? For example, according to the World Economic Forum, right, about 27 lakh new jobs will be created in the data industry globally.
Wow.
And in addition to this, right, the contribution of India, for example, right, for India, the contribution of software export in India's GDP is growing exponentially. In 2005, for example, it contributed about 17 billion to the GDP. And in 2022, right, this contribution was 180 billion.
Crazy.
Owing to this, right, each and every large tech company is eventually going to open its offices in India, and significant chunk of worldwide job opportunities is going to come to India.
Dhruv, like there are thousands of freshers and working professionals who want to start with data analytics, but every day new tool and tech stack are coming in the market. So what are the few mandatory skill set of data analytics which would be good enough to become job ready? Also, how to acquire these skill sets effectively.
Right, Shashank. So, if I talk about this, right, new tools will always keep coming in the market, right? But according to me, one should not really get distracted and let's say try to master all tools that are there. If we talk about this fundamentally, right, what skills a data analyst should have, right? There are two major components there. One is the technical aspect, technical skills, or we can call them the hard skills, right? And the second component is problem solving ability. Okay. So the most important skill for anyone to focus on is problem solving ability, the ability to think analytically, break any problem into small parts and then approach it. Mastering this will ensure that you can tackle anything that is thrown to you. Okay. On specifically talking on the tech sides, right? New tools are always coming in the market, right? But one, especially when one is starting to, let's say, enter the data industry, right? You should focus on key analytical tools, right? Analytical tools, right? Excel and Python, right? Data visualization tools like Tableau and Power BI, and data extraction tools like SQL. Okay, if you focus on this, post this, right? If you focus on problem solving and these technical tools, right? Post this, if you have the ability to learn anything new, right? When and if and when required, let's say on the job, you can always gather new skills required, right? And talking in terms of how you can actually acquire these skills, right? Let's say talking in terms of a complete fresher who has no idea about these tools, for example, right? First of all, you should focus on using these tools yourself, right? Understanding how these tools work, right? And actually practically using these tools to do some analysis. Once you get some practical experience, right, along with the technical know-how of the tools, you will eventually begin to master.
If you are a working professional and recently appeared in the data analytics related interviews, so feel free to put down your experience in the comment section, what was asked to you, and like the company, what kind of tools specifically they were looking from the candidates. Let's say we talk about the competition part, because if there are the number of jobs, obviously competition will be also very high. So to stand out from the crowd, we should have a really good resume and projects, because companies expect some sort of industrial experience. So what kind of projects we can make to get some realistic experience of data analytics, how to build them, and how should we add them in the resume?
First of all, any project that you do should be focused on real life industrial use cases. And ideally, if you're doing multiple projects, right, for your CV, they should span across different industries so that you get experience across multiple analytical domains that are typically there. Right. For example, retail analysis, credit risk analysis, sales optimization, let's say trying to create a recommendation engine for Netflix and all of that. So very important factor is that your project should be very, very industry relevant, right? In addition to this, right, it is very, very important that while you are working on these projects, right, you are not only focusing on the technical aspects, right? So any analytical task that you do, right, has three components to it. There is the why of whatever you are doing. There is the what component, right, what you are doing. And then there is the how component, that is how you are actually going to do it on the technical tools that you have identified, right? So it is very important that you do not only focus on the how part, where someone will tell you, okay, project mein you have to do XYZ things, and then you just go in and let's say execute it on Excel and Power BI, let's say, right? It's very important that you yourself focus on the why and the what part, why you are doing whatever you are doing in the project, and what exactly will you do so that the problem statement, whatever you have picked for the project, gets completed.
Someone who has some sort of gap, let's say 2-3 year of gap, also someone who is trying to move from a different job profile to the data analytics. So their first question is, if we are working on these realistic hands-on project, how we can even reflect them in our resume, because companies are not going to convinced by that, because we were not working as a data analyst in our previous companies. So how to, you can say, adjust that part in the resume and convince the companies?
I completely understand, since these projects are actually made at home, right, and not in an actual actual professional environment, right? The main aspect that comes in here is how you actually present that project in your resume. So exactly referring to the why and the what part, right? So let's say you're writing about a project in your resume. If you only talk about, let's say, XYZ functionalities of Excel or Power BI that you have used for the project, right? It does not actually portray the full extent of what you have done, right? Versus if you actually present your project in such a way that you did some analysis and what insights you were able to get from it, right? If you are able to present your own unique perspective for any project that you do, right, that will work a long way, right? To portray that you actually put in a lot of thought in the project that you have done.
If we talk about the working professionals, right, so they find it challenging to prepare themselves for a job switch. Doesn't matter, like it's not just the data analytics, but from any X profile, if they want to make a career switch into Y profile, right? So they find it challenging because they have to deal with their current job, family time, and many other factors. So what kind of strategy or learning methods they should follow so that they can make a smooth career transition?
So Shashank, I think this is a problem that everyone feels, right? Even I am working at AccioJob, right? If I, let's say, want to learn something new, it is very difficult to find some time through my busy schedule to actually learn something, right? So specifically while planning our data analytics course, right, which is kind of focused on working professionals, I personally talk to multiple working professionals to understand how we can make this learning process smoother for them, right? And what we realized was that each person has sometimes, right? For example, over the weekends or late at nights. So in our course, what we have tried to do is we have tried to keep all our important course touch points, like live classes that we are going to have, or some important contests that we are going to run, right? To basically keep them on times where working professionals can easily attend these classes. For example, our live classes are going to be on the weekends or late evenings on weekdays, right? But I agree, it is definitely difficult to learn something new, especially when you are working in a job. But it is important to understand that one will need to put in a lot of effort to learn something new, right? And you just need to basically keep going at it. Once you start learning, right, you'll start finding things interesting. You'll start finding data analysis or problem solving interesting, right? And it will get easier for you in time.
If someone starts preparing for a data analytics job today, then on an average, how much time will it take for them to complete it and how much salary they can expect in 2023?
So talking about the time it takes anyone to gather enough skill set to become a data analyst, right? Depends on exactly what skills you are focusing on, right? So let's say for our course, right, we have planned it in such a way that anyone studying with us will need to put in, let's say, on an average 2 to 3 hours per day, right? And based on this, there are multiple skills that you can focus on. But if you are just, let's say, focusing on getting the first job that you can, right, that will need you to have two important skills. One will be Excel and SQL, and definitely problem solving skills, right? So Excel, SQL, and problem solving skills can be attained in 2 to 3 months. ठीक है. And if you want to, let's say, focus on further skills, right, further upskill yourself in the data analyst domain, let's say you want to focus on data visualization, you want to focus on Power BI or Tableau, and also you want to focus on Python, right? So as you keep on adding more skills, you can take more time, right, and get ready in, let's say, 5 to 6 months with the full stack of technical skills that are there in the data analyst. So in terms of salary, the technical skills are not really the differentiator. The differentiator is your problem solving ability. For example, someone with Excel and SQL skill, right, can get placed as an MIS at 4 LPA. MIS will not have a lot of problem solving ability, right? Or someone with the same exact technical skills can also get placed at 14 LPA at a business analyst, right? If he has good enough problem solving ability, he has enough business context, enough business sense, right? So salary ranges anywhere from 4 LPA to, let's say, 20, 30 LPA. It completely depends on the mixture of your problem solving skills and your technical skills.
Now, the important question, how should we prepare for the interviews? And I'm asking with respect to both freshers and working professional, what should be their respective focus areas during the interview preparation?
As an interview, what I personally look at, right, is first and foremost the structured thinking ability of the interviewee, right? I look at what questions they ask, how they comprehend any question or any problem that I throw at them, right? Very, very important is how you present yourself in an interview, right? You need to, let's say, show that you have good communication skills. You need to show that you have a learning mindset, right? And definitely technical skills are important, right? But all of this structured thinking, showing a learning mindset, this becomes the most pivotal part in an interview, right? Because as an interviewer, I may encounter many people who have technical skills, right? But these factors like structured thinking, good communication skills, right? These become very, very important in a professional setting. So this is something that an interviewer focuses heavily on, right? And how to practice this or how to get perfect on this is, I think, practice. Basically, giving mock interviews, let's say, getting your friends to conduct mock interviews for you. If students actually go back and watch recordings for their mock interviews, right, they can themselves find quite a lot of insights on how they can improve, let's say, answer to a specific question that interviewer is providing, or how they are presenting themselves in an interview, right? So this is primarily how you should be presenting yourself in an interview. And yeah, practice quite a lot, have mock interviews to get better at it.
Can we say that we should be also ready to face rejection? Because sometimes people just break down because of this rejection and they think, yes, that is the end, and probably they start feeling inferior, the demotivation part. We should be prepared for that one as well.
Definitely, personally, I think that rejection is just part of the job application process, right? Whenever I used to enter, personally, I used to enter, let's say, this job search phase of myself, right? I used to be completely prepared that first few interviews I might get rejected, right? This is just the practice phase for me. I did not have any opportunity to, let's say, give mock interview. So I used to treat these company interviews as mock interviews for myself. So no need to fear rejection, right? There are multiple factors that play into you getting selected into a company. It's not 100% dependent on you. So don't be afraid of rejection. Treat that as practice for yourself.
Like people take the decisions to move from a profile X to Y, or let's say they want to just kickstart their career in the tech world, right? If we talk about the you can say fresh grads and the entry level freshers, so how to build that problem solving mindset?
It's not very easy to develop a problem solving mindset. Our approach personally is to expose students to as much problem solving opportunities that we can, right? First of all, teach them conceptually how should they go about problem solving, right? So there are three major steps to solving any problem, right? First is understanding what the problem exactly is, or what problem you are exactly trying to identify, right? Then the second step is breaking that problem down into small parts, right? And then third part is actually going through those small parts that you have broken your problem down into, and identify where the exact problem is lying and how you can then solve it, right? So just to give you a simple example, right? Let's say one day you see that your manager, who is generally very, very punctual, was late to the office by half an hour today, right? This is a question that I generally ask sometimes in an interview, right? So what is the reason for this, let's say? So I've come across people who just randomly throw out reasons. Let's say maybe he woke up late, or so on, right? There are people who randomly throw out some reasons, and there are people who, let's say, break this down into a very, very structured format. Let's say break down manager's journey from waking up to coming to the office in small parts, and then look at each of these small parts where he maybe took extra time. Was he late in waking up? Was his travel time more? And exactly breaking down into small parts, right? So this is very, very powerful. If you are able to actually break things down into small parts, right, you can solve any problem. And this comes again with exposure and with practice. I myself went through this process in my college days, preparing and building a problem solving mindset myself. So it all boils down to practice, practicing structured thinking, practicing breaking down any problem into small parts, right? And eventually, yeah, you'll get there.
Thank you so much, Dhruv. Right, wonderful insights which you shared with us with respect to the data analytics job profile, and whatever you have talked about. I think that's gonna be super helpful for the audience who is watching this podcast. So it's the best time for you to kickstart your data analytics journey. You can definitely enroll yourself to the upcoming data analytics course which Dhruv is planning. So audience is waiting for it. Dhruv, hope it will be launched very very soon and they can also kickstart their data analytics journey. So thank you so much for joining us. It was really wonderful.
Thank you, Shashank. Great talking to you.
So that is what I had for this podcast. I'm pretty sure you would have enjoyed everything, the information and the experience shared by Dhruv. If yes, and you find it informative, then make sure to like it and share it with your fellow friends who want to become a data analyst. Also, if you are new to the channel, then make sure to hit the subscribe button and press the notification icon. And I will see you guys really soon with another amazing stuff. Till then, just keep exploring data.